We've opened up the forbidden folder. This is where Ben, Bell and I keep all our ideas the boss has said no to in the past because they're a little taboo. Like, what's prison like? That was a good one.
Have you been shot?
Have you slept with a celebrity?
Teen mums.
Yeah. What's your connection to a murderer?
Furries.
Yeah.
Furries was a wild... I forgot about furries.
All of these things have been covered off. This morning's, though. Are you an undercover cop? Now, you can call through if you were an undercover cop, 13 24 10. We have arranged an undercover cop.
Yeah, we thought
They're
it
pretty
might
hard to
be
get.
a bit of a stretch for someone who's currently undercover to pick up the phone and go, that's me.
Could you imagine if you've done
What do I
3
win?
years, you've done 3 years in this bikie gang, and then they're all looking around and you're on the phone calling Nova saying, yeah, I'm an undercover cop. They're going, are you getting a load of this? We've got to murder this guy now. Are you serious? He knows way too much about us. So, yeah, we have arranged an undercover cop, someone who was undercover for a very long time. Keith, is it true you were an undercover cop?
It's absolutely 100%. Yeah, I was a deep undercover cop.
So you say deep undercover. Does that mean you were, like, in it for years?
No, what it means, mate, is different identity. So I had 3 or 4 different names with driver's licenses, bank accounts, and basically a whole backstory.
Oh, my God.
Completely assumed name.
How long were you undercover for in total?
Well, only 2 years initially. Then I did a couple of other jobs later in my career that were pretty much, 3 to 4 months of a stint.
Oh, my God, that's crazy. Keith, you know how you mentioned all the different names and IDs and stuff? Are they kept at a police station, or is it in, like, a suitcase under your bed, like in the movies?
Well, when I was an undercover cop, it was back in the 1980s. So, you know, I'm thinking pretty much all your listeners would go, when? So it was Wild West stuff. There, you know, we as myself and the other undercovers, we just basically invented it ourselves. So it was, in a suitcase under the bed.
You invented the names yourself. Did you, like? Can you give us one of the names? Was it like a pretty like standard name, or was it like Mooney Nightcroft?
One of them was I used to use the name Jim a lot because my second name is James.
Right.
That's fairly standard.
Yeah, you just have to have something that you respond to. And when I was growing up in country Queensland, my uncle's name was Keith, and I was always called Jim or Jimmy. So I generally use Jim a lot because that way, you know, if you've had a few drinks or whatever substances, and you're in a meeting or an environment surrounded by criminals, you want to be able to respond to your name.
That's it. Yeah. If you say, I'm Hawk or Blade or something like that, you'll probably forget after a couple of beers.
So, Keith, you've said that you had...
Or Byron.
You've had many jobs. Are we talking like drug gangs or what kind of work are we talking?
Yeah, all mine was drugs.
Okay.
All mine was drugs. I volunteered for it and I went deep undercover just before I turned 22 years old, believe it or not.
Wow.
And because back in those days, back in the 80s, heroin was a scourge. We had people dying of overdoses literally every day. And I just figured that there was something that I could do to fight that heroin trade. You know, the decisions you make when you're young and full of ideals, I guess.
Do you have to take drugs if you're pretending to be criminal and you're like, this hardcore guy?
You have to do it all.
Yeah, would you
if you're deep in it? Yeah, what happens, Keith?
Yeah, I smoked a lot of weed. Pretty hard not to. I took a couple of lines of speed at gunpoint one night.
Whoa! Seriously, they were like, if you're not a cop, then do this.
Yeah, that's precisely what it was. Yeah, well, it wasn't so much if you're not a cop. It was this guy wanted someone to party with, and I said I was only in it for the money, which is what I used to say about all powders.
Yeah.
And he produced a double barrel shotgun, and I'll clean it up. He said, if you don't partake with me, I'll be forced to shoot you in the head.
Oh my God,
Keith! You'd have
Keith.
so many good stories. You just can't even that's one, but you'd have so many good stories.
Did you ever come close, Keith, to being found out?
Oh yeah. I was doing an undercover job in Cairns in North Queensland, and the guy that I was working on, we didn't realise at the time, but was an escaped double murderer from South Australia.
Oh jeez.
Oh whoa.
And I was with him in a particular nightclub, and it turned out that the nightclub was managed by a guy I'd gone to school with, and he recognised me and called me by my real name.
Oh no! And said, I heard you became a cop.
Yeah, well, no, because I hadn't seen him since year 8, so he had no idea I was a cop. But
Good.
He just said, Keith, you know.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the name I was using at the time.
So what do you
So-
say? No, that's not me.
Oh, I used some pretty bad language towards him and said, no, you're mistaken, and go away. You know, you can read between the lines.
Yeah.
And the crook the crook that I was with, I've said this to many people. He gave me a look that froze my blood. He had eyes like Charles Manson. I don't know whether you've ever seen any photographs of Charles Manson, but this guy was cold.
Yeah.
So, yeah, scared me a lot.
Did you ever become close or friends with the people that you were going to expose?
That's an excellent question. Yeah, I did. I developed pretty early an attitude about drug reform. You know, once I realised that cannabis wasn't causing the sky to fall in society, I had a point of view. It should have been at least decriminalised, if not legalised. But there were some people that I really liked hanging around with who were weed dealers, and I still feel a bit of guilt about that, a bit of remorse about it, but that was the 1980s in Queensland. You just had to do what you had to do.
Yeah.
Keith, what do you do after being an undercover cop for so many years? Do you just
Go live out on a ranch somewhere?
Yeah, do you
like,
open an ice
Are you
cream
living
shop?
in
Or
fear that they're going to come after you?
Now, when I finished Undercover, I had a thirst for adrenaline, so I went and joined the Special Operations area.
Cool.
Jeez, Keith, you're a real life action man.
Maybe a long time ago.
Oh, wow. Keith,
fascinating
thank you so
stuff.
much.
It was a pleasure, and we appreciate you coming on the show to have a chat with us this morning.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. Have a great day.